All right, we've got more football on tap this week. Here's your Fearless Football Forecast. Our usual gang is back. I'm Ronnie Woodward. Here's Tony Castleberry and Jim Gentry. Only 4 games this week, guys, but looks like some good games. We were just talking a minute ago. I think this is a good slate here for Week 3.
Yeah, we don't have South Central playing, but the other 5 county teams, and like you said, it looks like pretty good matchups all around.
Definitely. All right, let's start it off here, Tony. Nash Central at J.H. Rose, suddenly a ranked team that looks pretty good.
Yeah, and have already won 2 games in vastly different ways.
Yeah.
Scored a lot of points in that opening win over Athens Drive. They win 6-3 at Laney last week, proving that they can win on both sides, perhaps all 3 sides of the ball, as Coach Ruffin McNeil likes to say, as they got a punt return for a touchdown last week.
Yep.
Being back at home will help too.
Yeah, definitely. What's your pick there?
I think the Rampants go to 3-0. I think they'll get a test kind of like they did last week. They've proven they can pass those kind of tests. I think they'll win.
All right, Jim.
Yeah, I'm going with Rose also. I'm playing at home too. I see the Rose team being 3-0 after this week. I think they win easily. Excuse me, let me try that again. Win easily.
Nice. I agree. I'm officially on board with the Rampants. We all picked against them last week, and they obviously proved us wrong.
Yeah.
I don't want to bust this out yet, but it's been a while. I looked this up since Rose was 4-0.
Oh. So you just busted it out.
A long time. But they got to get past this week, and then we might. I said a while. I didn't give the specific year.
Gotcha.
So Rose is looking good for sure.
How long has it been, Ronnie?
Nope, not gonna say. I'm leaving it at that. Come back next week. Jim, next game. Speaking of a good team, maybe Farmville Central is 1-0, traveling to Pamlico County.
Yeah, we talked about it's been a while since they've had a winning record. You know, getting that
Yeah.
rain out that first week, they had some extra rest, and those guys were anxious to come out last week. And we talked about how they kind of went back to smash mouth football at the end of last year, and it really helped them out. Seeing some more of that, had a couple big plays this past week, and then got themselves a big win.
Yeah.
A convincing win.
No doubt.
I mean, that's what's really cool. It's not like they got lucky or they won that game.
Yeah.
There's no doubter.
46 points is impressive for sure for Farmville.
Against anybody.
Yeah, true.
I was originally leaning toward Pamlico since it's a road game for the Jaguars, but the more I think about it and I think about the different weapons and athletes that Farmville Central has, I think I'm going to go with the Jaguars in this one. I think they'll be 2-0.
All right, I'm going with the Jaguars as well. I covered their game last week. Arkevion Crandall, Josh Jones, a running back, Kashawn Baker had a long run. I mean, they had a lot of different guys. I mean, and Coach Gardner said that after the game, and he talked about, that I was kind of in the huddle waiting for the interview, and he said, don't be satisfied with just this one win. We're playing a better team next week at going to Pamlico. I think it's going to be tough, but heck, I like what I saw last week, so I'm going with Farmville. What about you?
First of all, you shouldn't be in the huddle.
Not the huddle, outside.
Secondly, I think Farmville Central keeps the momentum going. I really do. I think they'll go down there and get a win. I think they'll be 2-0, and good on them. They deserve it.
I agree. All right, I got the next game here. What looks to be like a really good game. Washington is at D.H. Conley. Brian Pascal, as you pointed out, Tony, a couple minutes ago, used to coach at Washington. He's obviously now the head coach at Conley.
Doing good things.
Conley's offense is rolling right now. They're outscoring, their opponents, especially in the second half. They seem to pull away from the first 2 opponents. Washington's have a tough schedule. They've played a couple really good teams with Havelock and then Tarboro.
Yeah.
They're 1-1. But that's a game where I think the key matchup is probably Conley's offense versus Washington's defense.
Yeah.
What can Washington do? Can they kind of hold Conley down? Because nobody has so far.
Yeah.
My pick on that one, I'm going with the Vikings at home. I think this is a really good game. I could see Washington winning, but I think the smart pick there is Conley, so I'm going with the Vikes.
I think it'll be a situation much like it has been in Conley's first 2 games. Probably close at halftime. They'll continue leaning on him in the second half. That running game is just too much for teams to take. 3-headed attack there, and once those guys just keep pounding with that offensive line, I think Conley wins. I think they'll be 3-0 after Friday.
The passes last week, too. They hit some
I was just going to say Drew Buck. They've been able to hit some long touchdown passes. I think that's why I'm going to pick Conley as well. I just think they have a little too much offensively. And like Tony said, I think that'll be the matchup to watch, but I think offensively speaking, Conley will be a little too much for Washington to handle.
All right, last game here, Tony. A Pitt County matchup, two teams. North Pitt's at Ayden-Grifton. Always a good rivalry. It seems
Yeah,
like.
and they know a lot about each other every year. Those coaching staffs are pretty close. They know each other well. And Ayden-Grifton, wow, rarely do we say that they're 0-2 2 weeks into the season. They have had a tough schedule. I will say that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's shaping up to be the matchup of the week most likely. Two teams that are like-minded in their running games. Defensively pretty stout too for the most part. It'll be interesting to see what happens with that trip to Littlefield for North Pitt. That might have a lot to do with it. Ayden-Grifton's going to be fired up to get a win, that's for sure.
All right, Tony, what's your pick in that one?
I'm going to pick Ayden-Grifton to get off the schneid. I like what North Pitt is doing. I just feel like I just can't imagine a Coach Cornwell-led team falling to 0-3. You know what I mean? So for that reason alone, I'll pick AG.
All right, Jim, you saw North Pitt last week. What's your pick?
This is a really tough game to pick, but I think I'm going to pick North Pitt. Coach Bull had a real funny comment afterwards after they lost that first game to Conley. He said that they didn't bother practicing punt returns because the defense couldn't stop Conley, so why bother?
Yeah.
And it seemed like the Panthers took that to heart last week. I think this is going to be a really hard-fought game. I just think a couple of those big play guys, Council in particular, will be the difference. I think North Pitt sneaks in Ayden-Grifton and gets a close win.
All right. I'm kind of torn on this one, even right now. But I'll go with the Chargers. I kind of like what Tony said. It will be weird seeing them 0-3.
Yeah.
I think at home, motivation-wise, sorry to go against
Now,
you.
this is 3 straight weeks where these two guys have picked the same teams. You guys talk to each other before
Yep.
going on
It's
there?
basically subliminal, man.
Yeah.
We do it right here.
We text message an hour leading up to the show the entire time. But no, honestly, I think this is a good game. I'm going to go with Ayden-Grifton because they're at home.
Yeah.
I think it's a close game either way, and Ayden-Grifton hits a field goal, maybe a late field goal. Whoever their kicker is, he's going to come through this week.
You've researched
Sounds
this.
like
Yeah.
Pitt's got a pretty good kicker, too.
Yeah.
They do.
This guy's really good.
Sure.
Yeah.
So maybe I need to rethink that. Oh well, I'll go with the Chargers either way. But there's our show. Sorry for the rambling there. But make sure you grab paper or check reflector.com, and we'll see you back next week.